Hello there, and welcome to my very first Darktide video. Now, this is going to be something I don't normally do, but goddammit, I'm so excited about Darktide, I have to do something. Now, there's a bunch of these kind of reaction and analysis and speculation videos out there already, but a lot of them came out pretty quickly and seem a little undercooked. So I decided to take a little time, dive into everything Darktide that's out there, and try to bring it all together in one tidy package. The sources for this video are going to be the gameplay trailer that was released the other day, which we're going to watch a bunch, the PC Gamer article that came out the other day as well, the information on the Steam page, some previous images, and my knowledge, which isn't very much, of the Warhammer 40k lore. But I do have some help from one of my trusty community mods, Sol. He knows a little bit about the lore, so he helped out with noticing some of this stuff, and you can help out too. If you're a 40k lore nerd and you know some stuff that I either don't know or don't pick up on in this video, or that I get wrong in this video, by all means whack it in the comments and we can try and make this video a little hub of accurate, hopefully, information on Darktide. So let us begin. So we're going to boogie our way through the trailer, stopping and talking about various things as we go. Now, from the Steam page, the first thing we will learn is that this planet, Atoma Prime, is the setting for Darktide, where a heretical cult known as the Admonition is trying to take over, basically. And the game itself will take place in the hive city of Tertium, this lovely metropolis you see before you. Now, from the Steam page, we learned that we're playing as convicts recruited by the Inquisition, so perhaps there's an Inquisitor who needs something done, and he's chosen us, he's let us out of prison, for whatever reason we were in there, to go and serve him and try to get something done. And these four characters are, of course, the characters we will likely be playing. Will there be a fifth, like in Vermintide? I'm not sure. I would think no, just because I watched the Vermintide release trailer, like for the first Vermintide game, all 5 characters were in that trailer, whereas in this, we've only got the 4. So maybe it's just the 4 characters, there is no fifth, which was fine. You don't really need it. It's a 4-player co-op game. Makes sense to just have 4. Starting from the left, though, we have our priest lady. Perhaps a Ministorum priest. She looks like an absolute mental in the trailer, which is awesome. She looks kind of fanatical. And Ministorum priests, when they serve an Inquisitor, they become known as Hierophants. So maybe that'll come into play because she's in service potentially to an Inquisitor, although not directly, so maybe not. And then next to her, we have our big boy of the Imperial Guard, Elite Cadian Shock Troop, Tempestus Scion, Kassakin, whatever the hell you want to call them. He looks like some big elite soldier, basically. You can tell by his helmet that he's more of the elite type. And do notice his big heavy armor. He's got big knee pads on, big boots, shoulder pads, big thick gloves. We'll get back to that in a second. Next to him we have the big boy, the Ogrin. Big and dumb, but of course strong and tough as well. Although maybe with this Ogrin being recruited by an Inquisitor, maybe he's a little bit smarter. Maybe he stands out from the Ogrin crowd a little bit. He also has a big 5 on his shoulder pad, maybe trying to tell us that there are 5 of them, and we just haven't seen the 5th one. Maybe it'll come out later as DLC, who knows, or maybe that 5 means something else. And then on the far right, we have another Imperial Guard, which I actually believe to be a woman. And there's a little something in the trailer that kind of gives that away later on, but we'll get to that. But do notice her armor compared to the other Cadian soldier. Well, there isn't a lot of it. She doesn't have big boots on or knee pads, she's got small gloves, only one shoulder pad. So maybe she's quicker and lighter than the Kassakin, she's more about agility, relying on speed perhaps. Whereas the Kassakin is big, heavy, and hard hitting, maybe. From the PC Gamer article, it still sounds like they're putting a lot of emphasis on the characters really being individuals like they are in Vermintide, with all the voice lines and the interplay between them. That's still going to be a thing, there's going to be lots of that, so that's good to hear, because that is one of the best parts of Vermintide. Onto some gameplay itself, and we can see it's very similar to Vermintide, which is wonderful. Vermintide combat is fantastic, doesn't really need too many changes, it all looks pretty glorious. And still a lot of the same stuff. Staggering, cleave, push angles, it's all still there. And I imagine it will be very customizable. And of course, we get to use freaking chainswords, which is always awesome. Here we can see a bit of a thunder hammer, and then we have the Ogrin with his big old combat knife, which is basically a sword, seeming to chop down poxwalkers or some other kind of low-tier chaos enemy. Now here we have our Kassakin chap taking his chainsword out of some kind of chaos hound's face, so there's another potential enemy right there. And also notice the big inquisitorial rosette around his neck, again signifying the Inquisition, perhaps showing that he's serving the Inquisition, suggesting that maybe he's going to run into people who might see that and go, okay, you work for the Inquisition, you take everything I own and I'll tell you anything you want, thanks, please don't kill me. I also think in the PC Gamer article it referenced that there were going to be NPCs in the level, I think, so that could be really cool as well. As we move on through the trailer we can notice a couple of details, one spotted by Sol here. On the shoulder pad of this Kassakin fella it says death before dishonor, a common Imperial Guard saying. So just further confirming that we are some form of Astra Militarum troops. And we can also notice here that our priest lady in the background is taking a knee, and you're about to hear a voice. So what you're hearing is her voice giving us a little bit of the character. Here it is.
Master of mankind, may thy light guide us in the darkness. Burn the heretic, kill the mutant, purge the unclean. Master of mankind, grant us strength.
You notice she stood up there as that speech ended, so that kind of shows that it is her voice. And here we can see a lasgun. And apparently, according to that magazine article, there could actually be more weapon customization and traits that you can assign to the weapon. Of course, we have that a bit in Vermintide at the moment, but it's going to be going even deeper into that. So hopefully it can help give the characters slightly more dedicated roles to fill in the party. Now, you'll notice that our Kasachin boy has a lasgun with a short barrel. Note, if we move around to our priest lady, we'll notice that she doesn't have a lasgun, she has an auto gun. So perhaps slightly different character assigned weapons, as we notice our other Imperial Guard troop also has a lasgun. So perhaps those will be locked to the different characters. Maybe a lasgun can't be used by the priest lady and an auto gun can't be used by the 2 Imperial troops. Also notice the longer barrel on her lasgun than the other guy, which could show there are some range choices involved. And then our big Ogryn boy has some sort of shotgun of his own. I'm sure it has a proper name, so do let me know if you know what that's called. But do notice here that he's using it as a melee weapon to bash these troops away before blasting away the last one. So he can use that as a kind of dual weapon, which is pretty cool. And here we can notice some of our enemies, the traitor guard perhaps, Imperial boys that have gone to the dark side, shall we say. One of them with a one-handed weapon, but one with a two-handed axe, so maybe he's more of an elite like we have in Vermintide, who's a bit harder hitting. Onto our next scene, we've got our 2 lasgunners, and we seem to be playing as the lady, as we have those fingerless gloves on, and next to us we can see that Kasachin fella in his helmet. You can notice the Gothic Arch sight on her weapon as well, so maybe that's customizable, not sure what he's got on his. They're blasting down a corridor of Nurgle-infested bastards. Now, moving on, we can notice here our black sleeves and our auto gun. This suggests it's our priest lady who's using this. And you can also notice the 2 attachment slots on the top of the weapon. So again, suggesting the customization is going to be there for these different weapons. We can only wonder how much that's going to affect the kind of role and play style of the troop. Now here we seem to move to our Kasachin boy. We can tell by the heavy gloves and the las cannon, although not very many attachments at all. So I do wonder whether the 2 characters that have the lasgun will be able to set them up exactly the same, perhaps, meaning that their skills would really change the character, or whether they can only use certain attachments on certain characters. Now to some interesting stuff from this scene and from that magazine article. Here we can see what may be some poxwalkers or plague zombies, maybe they're the same thing, I don't know, you tell me, just stood shuffling around not really doing anything. Apparently this will happen in levels and you'll have the opportunity to stealth your way past them. Whether that means moving past them or maybe killing them off slowly one by one, I don't know. But there will be stealth elements to the game, which is really freaking exciting. Although I don't know how the hell an Ogryn is going to do stealth. Here we can also notice it's raining, and apparently there is going to be acid rain, which is going to be like an environmental change, which is going to affect you. There are going to be blackouts where the lights go out, and so you're going to have to use your flashlights to keep you going. So that's going to lead to some pretty fun gameplay. And we'll see here, they kind of notice you and all turn. Again, showing that stealth stuff, and if you get found out, they're going to come after you. Now here we can see some more of our enemies, the traitor guard probably, so we're going to get some ranged enemies, which is nice. We're going to have those melee troops that are going to run up and try to smash us in the face, but we're also going to get shot from a distance, which should add some nice new gameplay elements. We can also see this big guy stood up front. He looks like some kind of boss or captain or leader of them. Maybe he's a special, maybe he's an elite, or maybe he's a proper boss. It would be nice to see some more variation in the bosses and the boss fights than Vermintide, because Vermintide is very much a lot of the same thing. You get a lot of big bosses that hit hard and are quite tanky, and you just have to wear them down and take them out. The only one that's slightly different of the normal bosses is the Storm Fiend, because he has a ranged attack, and then all the main boss fights are just little arena fights, which again are all kind of similar and not necessarily that exciting. So it would be nice to have a boss that's maybe more of in an area, and you have to run around the area trying to find the boss and catch him, more than just a simple arena that we always get. Or maybe a fast boss that's hard to catch. Or maybe a sniper. Maybe that's what this guy is. Maybe he's going to sit in the rafters and shoot us and we've got to try and track him down or something. Who knows? Apparently there is going to be deeper puzzles as well. And party splitting. So sometimes your party will have to split up and go and do different things. Maybe 2 groups of 2 or something like that. So that could be fun when dealing with all the enemies. Apparently a lot of the enemies are going to be all working for Nurgle, so Nurgle is like the big enemy of the game, and everything is going to be kind of working in his name, seemingly. I think that's what the magazine article said anyway. So we can expect lots of infected, weird, crazy, diseased, disgusting creatures. And here we can see one with this kind of Chaos Hound thing jumping at our priest lady, so another maybe faster, slightly harder to hit enemy perhaps. So it should be some nice variation. And here we have what I believe to be our female soldier going into cover. And listen to the noise made as she, I believe, goes into cover. You'll hear a kind of female sounding grunt, like ugh, as she hits the cover. So that's what leads me to believe it is a female, because it does look a bit like a man, so it could be either. But here we see our heroes smashing stuff away. Nothing particularly remarkable here, I don't think. Bit of hammer action from our priest lady. Grenades from our female guard with the Gothic arch sight again. Auto gunplay from our priest lady, gunning down a nice horde. Good to see hordes are still around. Back to our Kassakin boy. We noticed the las gun. We noticed the Imperial Rosette again. We noticed the Death Before Dishonor. But here I think is the only bit of voice we get from this character where I think he says, "Eyes up, something big's coming." It's hard to hear the first bit, but he definitely says something big's coming right before that boss is around the corner. And his accent is almost like a kind of northern English accent. By the way, he says something big's coming. As an English person, that sounds kind of northern to me. Have a listen and see what you think.
Eyes up, big's coming. Eyes up, big's coming. Eyes up, big's coming.
And then we see what is presumably one of our bosses, similar to the Rat Ogre or the Chaos Spawn, that will attack you at some point during the level. Some kind of lesser Nurgle demon. Maybe it'll come with some kind of toxic powers. It'll try to give us diseases. As if we haven't had enough disease trouble this year. Fucking Nurgle. Hopefully that'll be an interesting fight and it won't just be quite simple like a Rat Ogre. And hopefully bosses won't be trivialized as they are by abilities and things as they are in Vermintide, where they can be 1 or 2 shotted in like 10 seconds. So hopefully bosses will present a bit more challenge. Here we can see all of our heroes once again. We've got the power sword on the female trooper on the right, I forgot to mention earlier. And according to the magazine article, there is going to be bolt guns and chain axes and a few other bits as well. So a nice variety of weapons to choose from. And in this scene we can hear our priest lady scream something, but I can't quite make out what she says. It's either something down tonight, like we fight down tonight or something like that, but that doesn't really make sense. Or maybe to die at the end, something down to die, I don't know. Have a listen, let me know your guesses. So yeah, not quite sure, but we do get that awesome scream she does at the end. So that's most of the stuff I've noticed from the trailer. I also noticed this image, which is one of the first Darktide images that got released, and if we look back at it, we can notice some things that will also give us some more clues on what to expect. Possibly. Mostly in terms of weapons. If we look at this fella on the far left, this could be our Kassakin fella, or maybe the female troop, what she used to be perhaps. But we can notice that she has a flamethrower. You can tell by the muzzle on the end of the gun, and that there's a little flame coming out the end of the gun. And also there's a flame on her back, and the kind of canisters on her back. So looks like there's going to be flamethrowers, which is awesome. There's also maybe some kind of sword on the waist. Can't really tell what this is. Could just be a knife, maybe a sword. We can also notice the servo skull above them as well. So maybe that'll be following someone around, helping them out. If we look to the Ogryn, the obvious big one in the middle, he's got a massive backpack thing on with some tubes and a gun which at first I thought was maybe a flamethrower, but it doesn't really look like a flamethrower, and we've got one on the other character. So if anyone has any idea what that gun is, or that weapon and the whole pack on his back is, let us know in the comments. The other character we don't really have much to speak of, looks like our Kassakin fella, but the fourth character doesn't look like our battle priest lady. So is that her in a robe, or is that a different character? That is maybe the fifth character, or is that the character she used to be, but now that character is gone and she has replaced them? Maybe that's just an old design, but what we can notice, you can't really see it very well on this picture, but there are versions of this picture without the Warhammer logo on, and you can see there's kind of a long rod here. This could be a staff as a melee weapon, or it could be a long barrel of a gun, so a sniper rifle perhaps. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see, but I think that is all the information I have on Darktide. I am very excited. It will probably be a big part of this channel when it does come out, so I'm looking forward to it. Let me know what you think about all this. As I said, anything I've got wrong or anything I've missed, drop it in the comments. Let us all know. We can all learn together until we get some more information on good old Darktide. I hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the future.